Hi everybody. Once again, it is now Wednesday, the April 22nd. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Make sure you guys are staying caught up on all your assignments because we are just streaming through the last month of school. This will probably be the last, I don't know for sure, this will probably be the last module that we do. We might get into module 14 at the end. I'm not really sure. But this might be the last module that we do. So this is kind of exciting that the end is in sight. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. Our objective for today is to find the volume of a cylinder. Okay, so finding the volume of a cylinder using a formula. Okay, so there is a specific formula that I would really recommend that you guys write down in your notes because having that formula for the volume of a cylinder is going to benefit you a lot when you're doing your assignments, when you're doing your tests or quiz, okay? Because all you got to do is plug in numbers and it'll give you the answer. Okay, so have a calculator handy, have this formula written down so you can visually see it, and it will be very beneficial to you. Okay, and I'm going to show you how easy this formula makes it. Okay, so finding volumes of cylinders is similar to finding volumes of prisms. You find the volume V of both a prism and a cylinder by multiplying the height by the area of the base. So finding the volume of a prism and the volume of a cylinder is very similar to each other. Okay, actually let me just check something real quick. Yeah, okay. Okay, the base of a cylinder, so basically it's the volume is equal to the base, the area of the base times the height. Now to find the area of the base of a cylinder, think about what shape a cylinder's base is. That's a circle, right? The area of a circle is pi r squared. Okay, so what I want you to write down, the volume V of a cylinder with radius r. Okay, remember the radius of a circle is this little bit right here. It goes from the middle of the circle to the edge of the circle. That's the radius. It's halfway across. You guys remember what the full length across is? That's called the diameter. Okay, but to find the area, we want the radius. Okay, so it's so the volume of a cylinder with the radius r is the area of the base b times the height h. Here's what I would like you to write down for this. Okay, this formula right here. You could write this one down also, but basically what you want to know is that b is equal to pi r squared. Okay, so I would just write this one down. The volume of a cylinder is equal to pi r squared h. And I would make sure you actually specify that's the volume of a cylinder, because we're going to be looking at other formulas for volume of other shapes. So specifically this one is volume of a cylinder, and this is V equals pi r squared h. Okay, and you know it might be beneficial to draw this little diagram also to show you what r is and what h is as well. Okay, so do your best at drawing that 3D cylinder as well. Okay, all right, so let's look at an example of how we can use this formula. So first it says find the volume of each cylinder. Round your answers to the nearest tenth if necessary. Now, the nearest tenth, we need to remember, that's one decimal place in. Okay, one place after the decimal. Okay, so this says round your answers to the nearest tenth if necessary. Use 3.14 for pi. This is also important. Okay, if it says use 3.14 for pi, don't plug in that little pi symbol when you're multiplying it in your calculator, because doing that is going to give you the full decimal. It's like 3.14159, on and on and on and on and on. You want to make sure, since it says use 3.14, if your answer is going to be precise, you need to use 3.14 for pi and not the actual pi symbol. Okay, I know that's confusing, but you want to actually use this if that's what it says to do. Okay, so in order to find the volume, we're going to plug in what we know. So we know that the volume is equal to, here's pi. What are we going to use for pi? 3.14. So I'm going to do 3.14 times the radius squared. Our radius here is right here, 3. So I'm going to do times 3 squared, then times the height. Our height is 10. Okay. Now all we need to do is use our calculator to actually plug this in and see what we get. So what I'm going to do is I should have had this opened already. Okay. Let's go to desmos.com/scientific. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to type in what we have here. So it's 3.14 times 3 squared times 10. So I'm going to type this in, 3.14 times 3, and then to do the squared symbol, you do this little thing right here, and then times that times 10. And you can see right here on the right, we get 282.6. Okay? So we know then that the volume is equal to 282.6. Now we also need to think about what label we're going to use. Okay, here our label is inches, but we don't want to just stop there. We're talking about volume. Now you might think, oh, it's inches squared. Well, remember, square inches refers to area. Volume is going to be cubic units. So this is going to be inches cubed. And this is our volume for the cylinder. Okay, so all we had to do, using this formula right here, we just had to plug in the stuff that we know and then plug it into our calculator. It's that easy. Okay? All right, let's look at a second example. Here, we've got another volume or another cylinder that we want to find the volume for. Okay? Now this one is a little bit different than the last one. Okay? Maybe you can already see, maybe you can already tell what the difference is. Go ahead and look and see if you can tell right away. Some of you can, maybe some of you can't. Okay, but let's go ahead and plug in what we know. So the volume here is equal to pi. Again, it says use 3.14 for pi, so we're going to do 3.14 times the radius squared. Our radius, what's our radius here? Well, you might think, oh, it's 6.4, so it's going to be 6.4 squared. And in that case, you would probably be wrong. Okay, 6.4 is pointing to this line right here. What this isn't the radius, this is the diameter, guys. That's a line going all the way across that circle. We don't want the diameter to find the area here. All we want is the radius. So to find the radius, we just want halfway across. So we have to take 6.4 and divide it by 2. So 6.4, I just said 6.4 and I wrote 6.2. 6.4 divided by 2 is 3.2. So my radius then is equal to 3.2. It's half of the diameter. So now I'm just going to plug 3.2 in for that. Oh, and it's got to be 3.2 squared. Don't forget to square that. And last we want to multiply it times the height. Our height is this side right here, which is 13. Okay, then we're going to come over to our calculator again. And actually, since we already have the formula written right here, I don't have to retype the whole thing. The only thing I need to do is need to change my radius. So it's got to be 3.2. And then my height is not 10, now it's 13. And you can see we get 417.9968. Okay. Now, it does say round your answer to the nearest tenth. The nearest tenth is this decimal spot right here. Now, to round to that spot right there, we have to look one spot over. This is going to tell us if we need to round that up or down. If it's 5 or above, we round it up. If it's below 5, we round it down. The 9 means that we have to round this decimal up 1. Now, since it's a 9, it rounds up to 10, which means that this goes up to 8. So it's actually going to be 418.0, or we can just write it as 418. So the volume is equal to 418. You can write it 418.0 if you want, or you can just keep it at 418. Now we need to label it. Okay, we've got centimeters here. And since we're talking about volume, it's centimeters cubed. Okay, so this is our volume right here. Again, all we're doing is we're plugging. We had to do one extra step here, and that was divide the diameter by 2 to get the radius, and that's it. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to go ahead and I want you to try to work these out on your own. Okay, pause the video, see if you can figure out what the volume of both of these are, and then what I'll do is I'll go through both of these just to see if you got the right answer. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video. Alright, so hopefully you took the time to pause this video. So what I'm going to do before I work these out, I'm going to write the formula. V equals pi r squared h. Okay, our goal is to find the volume here of both these. So number 4, you might recognize right away the first thing we need to do was we got to convert this diameter into a radius by taking this and dividing it by 2. So our radius is equal to 10 divided by 2, which is 5. Okay, so now we're going to plug in what we know. Our pi is 3.14. Our radius is 5, so that needs to be squared. And then times our height of 6. And now we just need to plug that into our calculator. So 3.14 times 5 squared times 6. And that gets us 471. And that's cubic inches, like this. Okay, next one, our radius. So this gives us, so we've got our volume, 3.14 equal or times our radius. Now this is our radius, so we don't have to do anything with that. So 4 squared, and then our height is 12. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug that in. We're going to change this to 4, and we're going to change this 6 to 12, and we get 602.88. Again, we run around it to the nearest tenth, so we got it this 8, this position here. Now the number right after it is an 8, so that rounds the 8 up to a 9. So this is going to be 602.9. And then our label is cubic feet. Like so. Okay? We're actually going to stop there. Your assignment for today is on your HRW. It's the 13.1 homework. You guys can go ahead and get started on that. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, ask me any questions that you might have. I'm happy to help. Hopefully you found this beneficial, and hopefully you wrote down that formula so that it'll make the homework super easy for you. Okay? Have a good day. We'll see you guys later.